Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and do a search for linked helper. Not LinkedIn helper, but linked helper. And the one you want to look for is one that says Google Chrome, because it is going to take you straight to the Google Chrome store, which is where you will add it to Chrome. You'll see that mine will say something like, it'll pop up here. Yeah, it'll say remove from Chrome. That's because I already have it. So yours will say add to Chrome if this is your first time doing it. Go ahead and click that button. And once it's downloaded, what you'll want to do is you'll want to open a new tab and go ahead and go into LinkedIn. What's going to show up as soon as you open up LinkedIn is it will have a pop-up where it'll ask you to enter more information about you. You don't need to do that right now because you guys are going to get a free 15-day trial just from already downloading it right from the get-go. So you go ahead and exit out of that or just click outside of it and you'll be totally fine. So what you guys will want to look for, and this will show up eventually on the bottom right hand corner, is it'll say linked helper. You want to open that up, and you'll see that mine says it expires in 116 days. So I bought like a year or something like that, and that's how much I've left. Again, you guys will have a 15-day trial. So this linked helper, I've used a lot of different automation tools, and you can honestly just Google a bunch and see what shows up. But this one has the lowest price compared to the number of tools that it has. So I'll show you guys real quick. So all of these tools are tools that come with linked helper, and most automation tools might have like 2 or 3 of these things, and they're like at least $40 to $80 a month. And this is like $15 if you do month to month, or if you buy a whole year, average that's like $8 a month. So this is the best deal you can really find when it comes to automation tools at the moment. So really cool. Anyways, what I'm going to do, guys, I'm not going to show you guys all of these. What you'll find is once you have one of them mastered, you can really use the same process for each one. But there are a handful I really want to highlight for you that will really save you so much time and create a lot of consistency in your marketing. So let's start with my favorite one, which is endorse my contacts. So it's going to have a video every single time that you click on one of these tools of a person in somewhere near Russia explaining you how to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and close that because I'm going to tell you guys anyways in my own way. So what you want to do, guys, is you want to do a search for the people that you would want to endorse, that you're connected to. So for example, like you see right here where it says Keynote, I've already made a list of people who are like Keynote. We can just use that same search. Think about why I chose that, by the way. A lot of people I'm doing business with right now are people who are coaches, consultants, public speakers, and I've used a lot of those keywords already. So another keyword I know I could use is Keynote, because a lot of people who speak have that keyword. So anyways, let's just go ahead and do Keynote and do a search, and a lot of people are going to show up, a couple 100,000. So I'm going to go ahead and go to first connection, because I can really only, again, endorse people I'm connected to. It's going to have almost 500 people. I'm okay with that for now because I'm just demonstrating this to you guys. So what I will do is I'll come over here where it says collect contacts for endorsing, and then I'm going to take my hands, and my hands are in the air. You guys can't see me right now, but I'm doing it anyways, just out of principle. And what it's going to do, again, is scrolling up and down. I'm not touching this at all. It's collecting all these profiles and then putting them into a queue where it says I already have 26 collected. That's from doing this right here. And I'm going to go ahead and actually stop it because, again, you guys want to go all the way to 46 or 99 or 100, whatever number of people you have. But in this case, I already collected this. I'm just demonstrating it to you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and stop. and you'll see that it'll keep going for a little bit and then it'll stop. And one thing you guys can do here is you can view who you've already collected. So click that button right there. If there's anyone that you don't want to endorse for whatever reason, I don't really use this feature for endorsing, but it is something you can do. You can, like, select them and then delete them from the list, as you can see over here. I don't really need to do that right now. You can upload their URLs. There's a lot of, you can do a lot of really neat things. So don't really need to use that tool right now. What I want to focus on, guys, is coming over here where it says endorse. So you'll see it says I have contacts for endorsing 26. I've already endorsed 4 people today, and in this period 3. I'm doing it every 24 hours, so it just means every single day, like clockwork, at a certain time, it'll kick in and it'll start doing this, which is so great. It's going to endorse about 60 people at a time. So you'll see what happens if I say, no, I want to endorse 100 people at a time. It'll say, that's a very high number of people for you to endorse, and LinkedIn is going to potentially flag you. So you can say, I don't care, I want to endorse that many people anyways, and you go ahead and do that. Just understand that it does mark you as a suspicious person, potentially, that they might want to flag. So if you follow their guidelines, and these guys know what they're doing, they have a lot of accounts, so I'm going to go with 60. You could try 75, you could try 80. Again, the reason that we're doing this is because every person that you endorse is going to be 2 clicks away from starting a conversation with you. So think about going to bed every night, endorsing 80 people, waking up the next morning, 15, 20, 25 messages in your inbox every day from people that you targeted and are starting conversations with you. And all you need to do is respond, and they will respond on a much more likely than if you were just going to send them a cold message. So much, a way better use of your time on LinkedIn, guys, by getting your prospects to start conversations with you first. So it's a beautiful thing that really no one is taking advantage of the right way. I just thought it was a really cool thing from all the experimentation I've been doing. So I'll show you guys one other thing with this. So you can endorse them for every single skill they have in their profile right here. I don't do that because I want to make sure that I have multiple opportunities to show up in their notifications. If you endorse them for everything, then you go back to their profile. I guess you could unendorse them and then re-endorse them, but that's kind of weird. I would probably still do it anyways, but you just don't want to have to do that. So there's also people who I know that they owe me an email response, or they maybe never said thank you for me endorsing them to begin with. I'll endorse them again, and again I'll show up in their notifications. I'll say top of mind to the people I want to do business with. So I'm not going to do all. I'll skip first real quick, go to specified. This is good for people that don't have a large number of connections. Like if you have 750 and you just want to collect every person that you're connected to, and then the people that you want to do business with. Let's say that you know that they'll only have skills, like if you're trying to work with doctors or something like that, you could choose like healthcare as a skill that they would probably have. You can just go to the people who you want to do business with and see what skills they have in their profile, and then use that here if you want to. I just don't. What I do is I go to the first 5 or 4 or 6 or whatever, and I endorse them for those things. If I already endorse them for the top skill that they have, then I'll just go to the very next 5. The reason I chose 5 is because it's not taking too big of a chunk out of all the things I can endorse them for, but it's still a little meaty. And when I endorse them, it says Jimmy Coleman endorsed you for this and 4 other things, and I just think that sounds pretty cool. So I chose 5. The next thing you can do is you can click this button. So once you click this button, I'm going to double click it because it already says it's going. So click it again. And what it's going to start doing is it's going to start going profile to profile to profile to profile 60 times per session. And it is going to endorse these people for their first 5 skills that they have listed on their profile. It's going to go profile to profile to profile. And I already endorsed this lady for a few things, so it'll open up, it'll say show more, and it'll endorse her for more things. And you'll also notice, guys, that it's going to like scroll up and down the profile a handful of times. The reason it does that is because it's trying to look human to LinkedIn. So if LinkedIn is monitoring your activity, it just wants to see that you're going up and down the profile. You're spending 37 seconds on this profile, 41 seconds on this one, instead of like 35 seconds every single time, or even worse. What would be worse is if it was like 5 seconds every time. There's like no way this is not a robot, right? So it's making itself look very human, which is so cool that they thought of that. So next action is going to start. It's going to endorse another skill in 1 second. Boom, it's going to go endorse that skill, and then eventually it'll endorse all these skills, and it'll go to the next profile. Go to next contact in 37, 36, 35 seconds, and so on and so forth. So hopefully you guys get the point there. It's just going to do that while you are sleeping in bed, or if you have another window open. Just make sure, guys, that you leave this tab open. This will not work if the tab is not open. So the way that you can get around that is if you have multiple tabs open. So if I were to go here and just create another tab, that's another thing you guys can do. Or sorry, not another tab, but creating another window. That's what I would suggest to do. So one window is whatever you want to work on, emails and whatever, and this is open in a completely separate window. But make sure that this tab is open at all times so it can keep working. Alright, so I'm going to stop endorsing, and I want to show you guys the next thing, which my next favorite tool is where it says, has this human here with the plus sign. It says collect, select, and invite second and third contacts. Long story short, auto connecting. So I'm going to do the same exact thing. Like I said before, guys, once you have one of these understood, you kind of have all of them understood. So if I do Keynote, just to make it very simple, and in this case you cannot connect with people that you're already connected to. So instead of looking for first connections, I'm just going to look for second and third. And that's a lot of people, right? So the question that you want to ask yourself, because we're about to filter this down a little bit so there's less people showing up. I want to go to locations, and you can look at all these things here. I'm going to choose location because the question I'm asking myself is, where is my path of least resistance? Like, what is going to get me results the easiest, the fastest, the highest percentage right now? And because I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, I have a reputation in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have a natural market here. I have a better chance of getting responses in business from people who see that I have mutual connections with them and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Charlotte just to narrow it down a little bit. Alright, apply. And we have, that's good. We were looking for about 1,000. This is a little bit over, which means in this case I could narrow it down a little bit more, but I've already showed you guys how to really filter really well. So we'll just roll with this. 1,100 contacts. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to go back here. It'll again have a tutorial video on how to do it every time, so you don't have to keep logging back in and watching this video. I already have a list put together here. You can save your own kind of list if you want. I'm just going to go ahead and start collecting contacts to endorse. So what it's going to do is it's going to put these profiles into a queue, and then let's say it collects about 1,000 of these profiles, and you connect with like 80 of them every single day. Then it will start chipping away at that list of about 1,000. So again, my hands are in the air. I'm not touching the keyboard. I'm not touching my mouse. It's just doing this stuff automatically. It's connecting, or it's collecting all these profiles. And then I'll show you guys how to invite them to connect every day while you're sleeping or while you're working on other stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it there because I already have some profiles that I can show you guys how to take the next steps with. As you guys know, I'm not a big fan of sending people messages when you go to connect with them. If you want to do it, this will teach you how to do it automatically, which is super cool. I just don't do it because I think it puts me beneath the people I'm connecting with. Even though you're not always being aggressive with the sales pitch when you're sending these messages, people are smart enough to kind of know what you're getting at, and people typically feel like you're selling them something. And I'm saying this, guys, because I've just done it 1,000 times. But anyways, let's just go ahead and go to the next thing here, which is invite. So start profile inviting. Again, I have 19 in my queue. I've invited one already from when I was doing this earlier. Inviting current period 1. All right, cool. I have 70 put in here. If you wanted to do 100, you'd be good, I think, right? So it'll say 100 is fine. If I were to do 101, we said warning, that's a high number, right? So I like to do 70, so I'm going to stick with that. Every 24 hours, and click this button and start rolling. Obviously very similar to what you were doing before with auto endorsing. Same process. It's going to go to this person's profile. It's going to scroll up and down a handful of times, and then it's going to connect with them. Then it's going to wait a certain number of seconds until it goes to the next profile. And guys, this is just being automated. It's very simple. You're not treating people unfairly. You're not making them feel like they're just a number. This is just you building your network. And so as you guys can see, I'm just going to go ahead and stop that because you guys know how to manage the rest. This is just going like clockwork while you're sleeping, while you're working, in a completely another window. So another thing I want to show you guys here, and again, auto visitor might be a cool thing that you can do to show up in people's notifications every day if you want. You can do a higher number of profile visits than you can do endorsements. So if you want to set it up to where you're viewing a certain number of profiles every day, like 100, in addition to endorsing, that's just more time to showing up in people's notifications for the people that say that so and so viewed your profile. So that's just another idea. If you just want to get seen, there's not really a call to action except for they might view your profile. So that might be cool. Auto follower, same exact thing as auto connector, just following them. Sending a message to first connection. So here's when I do that. Again, I don't really do many outbound messages, but there is a time that I do, and that's when I have an event coming up. So I'll show you guys how to use that real quick. And you'll probably see some messages I've used in the past here for, I'm doing a talk in Salt Lake City, so I'm promoting that. So you go to the general area here, you can create a default list or create a new list. And let's say that, I had a talk coming up in Salt Lake City. So what I was going to do is I was just going to go to my connections that I have in Salt Lake City. So I'll go to first connections, and then I'll put in location. Salt Lake City. And I have 65 people that showed up. So what I would do is, I have an event coming up next Thursday where I'm speaking in Salt Lake City, teaching people how to crush LinkedIn, at least a preview of it. And what I want to do is I just want to make sure my connections know, like, hey, we're going to get a chance to meet. And at this point, I didn't have a location picked out, and I wanted to make them a part of the process. So I went over here, general settings, and found my recipients. So you can collect message recipients. I'm not going to click that right now, but it would just go through all the pages and pages and pages, put people into my queue, and here's the message. So I'm going to click on this, and you'll see this thing will pop up, and it'll teach you how to use it if you want. And take that part out. Don't need that subject. So it's going to say, hey, and I'll erase this real quick so you guys can see how cool this is. So it's going to say, hey, and then if you want their first name to be in there, you click that button, and boom, their first name shows up. So, hey, first name, and this, it might be Kelly or whatever. Hey, Kelly, I'll be in Salt Lake on the 21st from Charlotte. I was wondering if you had any suggestions on where I should host our after-hours LinkedIn seminar. I've been talking with a couple co-working spaces, but thought I'd ask you before deciding. Thanks. And that message gets sent to every one of my connections in Salt Lake City. It's really cool if you're doing local events too. You can promote it that way. That is really the only time I do any outbound messages. So cool thing you guys can play with right there. Save changes. Yes. Close. Cool. All right. And then, of course, when it goes to broadcast, same deal. Start message broadcast, and boom, we'll go profile to profile, messaging one person at a time, automated. It's a beautiful thing. What other tools do we have here? So message to recently added connections, so you can go to the people that you recently connected with and send them a message. Again, I don't do that. It's not a good first impression from what I've seen. In mail, I'm not using that as much, but again, it's the same process. Endorsing, we've already done that. All right, this is a big one. Profile extractor. Again, these guys are from like Russia or something around there, so they use funny words, but this is just another way for like scraping all the information from each of your connections profiles and putting them into an Excel spreadsheet. So that includes emails. Everyone thought, I'm not sure if you guys knew this or not, there was a point in time where you were able to go to a certain place on LinkedIn and download all of your connections emails. So me having 27,000 connections, that meant 27,000 emails. And LinkedIn took away that feature in 2018. However, that's not holding us back. You guys are finding out how to do it anyways. So something you can do if you want to collect your entire list, something that I know people have done in the past is they've gone to My Network. And I obviously need to start responding to some of these people here. But you go to Connections. And then you can come here and start collecting. And just like any other search, it'll go through all of your connections and start collecting. It won't limit it to 1,000 this way. And so I thought that was pretty cool. Another thing you can do though, and this is sometimes better, is especially if you want to target a certain group of people. Like again, we can use that whole keynote thing I was doing before. Keynotes. Oh, keynote. All right. So it'll say keynote, and then let's say I want to collect contacts from this search. I already have like 456 in my queue, but just for demonstration purposes, I'll show you guys that it'll start doing its whole robot thing without me touching it. I'm going to go ahead and pause it because I have a bunch collected already. Then I'm going to go here where it says extract. It says 459 in my queue, already extracted one. 500 in current period. You can probably make that number pretty high. And extract collected profile. So I'll come here. And just like everything else, it is going to go to the profile, jiggle around a little bit all over the profile, and then after 30 or 45 seconds is going to have collected all of their information, and you are going to be able to export this into a CSV file. Now, another thing you can consider doing is um, if you're putting an email campaign together and you want to target people who went to a certain college, you can do that from your email list now. You can filter people that went to, James Madison University, Duke University. That's something you can do. If you want to target people who are in a certain industry, you can go to sales and marketing, you can go to professional coaching, you can go to healthcare, and you can do an email that makes sense for only those people. Alright, so it says I already extracted one. I'm not really going to wait for this because I usually do this, again, it's all in my sleep. So I'm going to go here where it says download CSV file. Google Sheets too, I like that. So you see where it's taking about a minute to do all this, and that's fine. We could change those settings so it takes less time if we really wanted to. And mine's opening in something called Apache. I don't really use, I usually use Google Sheets, so it's going to give me a really funny looking one here, but that's totally fine. Yours will probably look much cleaner than mine will. Okay. And there you have it, guys. So as you can see right here, it shows their email, name, title, all that good stuff. Again, it looks really messy because this is a really old version of a spreadsheet, but yours is going to look much nicer. I have files from another computer that I've used, and they look really good. But that's how you guys get all those emails, guys. And everyone thinks this feature is gone from LinkedIn, but now you guys have access to it. So have a lot of fun with that. Alright, so let's go back here and let's just kind of breeze through other tools that you can do. Company extractor, my signature. I like using this one. So this is huge because I have a lot of clients that have told me that they have so many messages coming in on a regular basis that they just they can't keep up with it. They're not staffed to respond to all these leads that they have coming in, which is an awesome problem to have. But we do want to make sure there is a way to get around it and that you're having good response time for your hot leads. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to my signature. Sorry, I had to change the page real quick. Alright, so let's go to my signature, and it has the how-to right there. What we're going to do is we're going to go to my messages, and as you guys will see here, this is already typed out. I didn't have to do anything. So every time you open up a message, instead of most people use their signature to say, Jimmy Coleman, job title, phone number, whatever. Instead, what I realized is that you could just use this as a way for when you have the same message coming in every single time. In most cases, you have the same exact response. And that's the beauty of, we talked about before, are you doing a short-term approach? Are you doing a long-term approach? Whatever it is, that message response is probably the same thing. If you're closing them and you're saying, sure thing, I'd love to hop on a call and tell you more about what I'm doing, you could do that in this message. Or if you want to say, like I did, because a lot of people, I have this from my birthday, was pretty recent, so I had thousands of people send happy birthday messages to me on LinkedIn, and so I said, thanks so much. I actually just created a Facebook group to teach people how to grow their business using LinkedIn. You want to join? And a lot of people say yes to that. So that message is already typed out. All I need to do is click in the box, press the space button, and send it over. And so you just do that every time you open something up. You can just go, and it is going to send that message. You can edit it here. You got to make sure you turn this sucker on, and that's just another cool tool that you guys can use. So group inviter, oh my gosh. So if you guys want to build a mega group on LinkedIn, you can use group inviter. Use the same exact search tool that you guys were going to use before for when you're collecting profiles to endorse, collecting profiles to invite. You just got to make sure that these people are first connections of yours, and you can invite these people into your groups as you're building those. So you can use group inviter for that. very cool tool. All right, so connections remover, you guys already know what that is. Invite canceller. LinkedIn sometimes is a little bit nicer to people that don't have a bunch of outgoing invitations. So if you get above 3,000 at a time, this is just a place that you can go to cancel some of your invites for really old invites, people that haven't accepted you quite yet. So anyways, guys, those are really the main ones that I use. This tool is something that needs to be implemented today. Download it today, use it today, start endorsing people today, start connecting with people today. And a really good habit is your core two is the endorsing and the connections, right? So what I would probably do, and this is kind of my process, is before I go to bed, set the auto connector on. When I wake up and I'm working on things on another window, having the auto connector going, and then just that's automatic every single day, and your profile will build without you even putting a lot of work into it. So I love this tool, guys. Definitely jump on it. $15 a month, I think, is what it is right now. It might increase, it might decrease, I don't know. I don't currently have something worked out right now where they're paying me to tell you guys any of this. So I want you guys to know this is just a really cool tool for you guys to use to crush LinkedIn.